Welcome back to all our listeners. It's that time of the week again, where we discuss all things FPL on the First 45 podcast, brought to you by Craig and Darren.
Hello, you're listening to the First 45 podcast, episode 3. With me, as always, is Craig and Daz. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, all good, mate. You okay?
I'll get my teeth in a minute.
Still got the old early pod jitters there.
No matter how much practice you do, you'll always fuck up the first line.
Of course. Well, there we go, mate. We're rusty.
It's been an eventful game week 22, I'm sure you'll agree. So perhaps we better just dive straight into how you've done. So Daz, perhaps you want to kick us off. How did you do? I don't think you did particularly well, did you?
No, I didn't, mate. It was quite a high scoring.
Throwing you right in the deep end, didn't he?
Yeah, no, not great. Obviously, it was quite a high scoring game week, wasn't it? And I ended up on 60 points. I have still got Sonny to play tonight, so hopefully pull something out the bag for me. But yeah, 60 points. Moved from 5k down to 11k. No transfer for me last weekend. I captained Salah, unfortunately.
Yeah, as did I. How about you, Craig? How did you do this week?
I've actually had an okay week, to be honest. I was bailed out by a couple of slight differentials. Can we call Watkins one? Can we call Rashford one? Probably. It's even Sterling, to be honest. Most went Gundogan. So a few good points from those boys on 82 points. Gone from 164k to 131k. So slowly getting myself up that leaderboard. I don't have Son, so obviously I've got no more points to come and nothing more from that game tonight. So that's me done. I'm all out.
You done well sticking with Rashford, though. I know you were thinking of moving him on, but the patience paid off there.
Wow, that's it, isn't it, Daz? I think after our last pod, where I wouldn't say they were rash moves moving from Bamford and Robertson to Dean and DCL. I was just trying to get on it early, really. I wasn't being rash, but... And again, no pun intended. But yeah, with Rashford, I was thinking about the fact that he hadn't really done anything. But I thought, well, look, he's doing okay. He's ticking along. He's got some nice fixtures. So just stay patient. The only move that we talked about on the last one was Grealish, wasn't it? So I would have lost a few points. Luckily, Grealish obviously got 6, so I wouldn't have lost too many. But then I've got Rashford now for Everton at home. And then, of course, he's got West Brom away afterwards. So probably going to keep with him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So you both had Souček on your bench again.
Yes,
as did I.
As did pretty much everybody, right?
A lot of people did, yeah. That guy just stings you, doesn't he, when you don't expect it.
What are you thinking about Souček then, lads? Are we thinking play him now? I mean, I'm probably going to play him next week, and I'm likely to bench Calvert-Lewin, to be honest. I mean, away at Fulham, I just expect that West Ham are going to keep their form up, and Man United looked good, so I'm likely to bench both Calvert-Lewin and maybe even Lucas Dean as well. I might actually play both City boys with the way Liverpool have been playing.
Yeah, I'll get that. I've got Souček starting currently as well.
Who have you benched?
So at the moment, I've actually benched both City defenders, but I've got a bit of a conundrum now. I've got Diaz and Stones both on the bench, so yeah, a few decisions still to be made for sure.
Wow, that's an interesting one, considering that at the moment my head is saying play both of them, just with the way that Liverpool have been playing.
Yeah.
Are likely to score, maybe. I don't know though. They're not looking great, are they? They haven't scored very many goals, no. So yeah, it's an interesting one. And what about your best and worst player, Daz, this week?
So my worst player, I've gone for Johnson in goal. I brought him in on my game week 16 wild card ahead of the double game week, and it's just not worked out at all. He's just still in my team, absolutely stinking the place out there. But I think he needs to
smelly
be
between the
moved on.
sticks.
I was really hoping when Big Sam came in, he was going to really tighten that defence up like he's done in previous spells at clubs. But yeah, it's not worked out at all, unfortunately. I think they are done, and so is Johnson in my side. And best player, obviously I had a big haul from Fernandes at last, and a lot of people I think had Fernandes, so I've gone for Antonio as my best player since I brought him in 1 blank now in the last 5 games, which is fantastic. He's just ticking along nicely, and he could have had a lot more goals in there as well. I think. Don't be surprised if he goes off massive at some point soon. I think he's gonna be in for a big haul.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a double point haul in, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
In that Palace game the other day, you could have had 15 points. You could have easily scored a couple of goals and had an assist.
Yeah, I think if someone said to me you could only keep one player from your squad, it'd probably be Antonio right now. I think he's absolute dynamite, looking really good.
Agreed.
What about you, Craig?
Yeah, from my side, I'd say the best would have to be Dean and DCL. I was obviously a little bit miffed moving them in and losing a big 18 points in the last game week. But they've eaten into that deficit a little bit, both of them scoring 5 points and 9 points respectively. So of that 18 points that I lost, at least I've chalked back 7 of them with the moves, because obviously Robbo and Bamford only managed 7 points between themselves. And from a worst perspective, well, it's probably most people's worst, really. The only man in my team that didn't do anything, no returns whatsoever. I think every other player in my squad returned. Even Martinez managed to get a bonus point, much to Darren's displeasure, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll be moving that way shortly after talking about Johnston. But it's Mo Salah. Mo Salah, absolute disastrous. I think everyone, certainly within the community anyway, was sharing their teams, and I think only Mo Salah's the one to do nothing, right?
Yeah.
Alarm bells there, really. We are big supporters of his, aren't we, Daz? But I say but. There's no but, really. I'm still going to obviously just stick by him because he's going to bring those 15 pointers in. But I guess it's a good but, because I think a lot of people just get impatient. In and around that couple of 100,000 and upwards, people will get impatient and just chop him out. But there's no one to spend money on anyway. There's no Mane, there's no KDB, there's no Kane, there's no Vardy.
Big hitters
People
are out,
have got about 8 million in the bank, haven't they? Exactly.
Yeah, you're seeing that a lot.
Cool. So should we move on to what has been a very eventful game week 22, and perhaps we want to kick off with the very depressing 9-0 result, Man United versus Southampton. Darren, do you want to kick us off with that one?
Yeah, I'm glad you started with this one, mate, because I think it is the elephant in the room at the moment. Let's get this out of the way, shall we? It was a tough watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Yeah. I think when you get to sort of 2 or 3-0, at some point you just have to say this game's gone, and you just need to get out of there with your pride intact. And obviously, it just didn't happen at all. I think there was a lack of concentration. Just they weren't closing the spaces, and United just ran riot. It was embarrassing. I mean, you can't lose 9-0 in a Premier League match. 4-5 with 10 men, 9 men, fine. You cannot lose 9-0 in the Premier League. It's not right. Obviously, VAR didn't help, but
VAR didn't help. I think mainly the bench didn't help. Really, it didn't look like Hassan Hutel didn't have a lot of options, and his hands tied a bit. If you actually look at the bench, it was pretty much academy kids and Redmond.
I was looking at it early on, and I thought to myself, he needs to bring off Adams or Ings and get a defensive-minded player on, and just try and
no one on the bench was there.
But you look on the bench, and there was actually no one, and
nobody.
Ings got himself a bit tangled a few times trying to keep track of Wan-Bissaka, and that was
Didn't change the tactics. I mean, in normal circumstances, with a slight bit more of squad depth, then you would perhaps, as you said, bring on some more defensive-minded players, and you could just pack out the defence a bit. You could move that to a 5 at the back.
Yeah,
that can always move into a 3 if you wanted to try and get something from the game, and then just pad out the defensive midfield area. But like you said, he had nothing. So
no. I think in many ways it was very different to the Leicester game, the last 9-0, the last 9-0. In terms of, I remember that match, and we just continued to keep pushing forward, pressing high, and you just thought, what are you doing? But at least in this match, the intent was there, I think, to get behind the ball, but they were just, I don't know, their head just completely went in the end, and
But very quickly, Dad, you've talked about Che Adams in recent game weeks. Did you have any thoughts on him? I thought he had quite a lot of involvement, so interested to hear what you think there.
Yeah, I mean, he did himself no more harm than the rest of the Saints guys. He did okay, but I think there's just so many assets in reach within that sort of price range. You think of Bamford, Antonio, Watkins, even DCL is not a million miles away. I think his time's probably up in terms of an FPL asset right now.
Definitely for me, with the other guys all firing. I can't see Bamford, Antonio, even Watkins not doing anything for the foreseeable. They just look like they're going to be in the points all the time. Everything goes through them. Watkins is brilliant, really like the player. So I think you're absolutely right, mate. It's time for Che Adams to move on. Let's get off this game before we all are drowning our sorrows and then just muttering.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on. There was another quite a big game at Anfield as well last night for us. Craig, do you want to talk us through Liverpool's defeat against Brighton?
Yeah, the Liverpool game, not exactly what we expected, but I guess after the result that Brighton had at home to Spurs just previously, maybe the writing was on the wall a little bit there. They've looked really, really good in recent weeks, defensively and going forward, like piling the box, putting players in there, causing a nuisance, lads like Trossard and Maupay. They're up there causing trouble. Even Pascal Gross has looked pretty decent, to be fair. So it's one of those. Liverpool just look all at sea at the moment. They haven't really got full strength defensively. through the middle. Obviously, they didn't have Alisson in goal, which is probably a big loss for them. I think he provides a lot of confidence at the back for the other players. But yeah, it looks a bit troublesome at the moment. But I'm going to stick by Salah. I've got no one else. It'd be interesting to hear what Daz says, considering that he's just jumped on Trent and Robbo.
Yeah, I watched the game actually, and first and foremost, as you touched on it there, hats off to Brighton. They were absolutely superb, and actually it could have been 2 or 3-0 at the end of the game. But something's still not right with Liverpool. 100%. I mean, as you just said, there's been a lot of injuries, and it's probably a big contributing factor towards their form. But I was watching it last night, and actually I thought one of the biggest misses for them is probably the fans in the stadium. I think they rely so much on the energy and emotion which the crowd sometimes brings to their game, whereas you think of City, more controlled, patient, technical. So yeah, I don't think that's helped them at all. I think they do rely on the fans quite a lot. But in terms of FPL, yeah, I saw something in the Spurs game there. I was keen to get back on the Trent and Robbo double up, which has served me so well in the past. But yeah, I think it might be a time to abandon that pretty quickly because it's not right.
Wow, you've had it there first, everybody. So keep moving on through these games. Another big kind of upset, I guess, to some extent, was West Ham's comprehensive victory over Aston Villa. Craig, if you want to start us off again, do you want to talk a bit about that game?
Yeah, I thought this was quite a good game, to be honest. I watched a bit of this, very free-flowing, and then caught the extended highlights afterwards. But yeah, I watched a good chunk of this. Some great assets on display. Souček, obviously, still proving his worth at that price, clearly demonstrating how underpriced he was at the start of the season, and actually one of those players now that we're likely to have to just play. Notice that he's on 106 points total now, which I believe is more than Sterling, or it's up there in those echelons. It's crazy. He's in the top 10 point scorers in midfielders. So I think what we need to do, and we referred to it on one of our previous pods, is start referring to him as a 7.5 million midfielder. Stop looking at him for a 5.3, a 7.5 million Fellaini. And I hate to obviously use the comparison because I'm sure he doesn't like it. He's probably offers a little bit more than Fellaini from a box-to-box perspective. He's a very, very good player. Really good pass as well. I saw some of his passes were brilliant, like really decent. Yeah. Like these are the types of things people don't pick up on. He was over on kind of like the middle of the pitch on the sort of like side on the right-hand side, and he just whipped a ball over to the left wing. And I was like, wow, I mean, this guy can really play and he can cause a nuisance in the box. So he's one. And then obviously Antonio, as we already referred to just a minute ago, you referred to him, Daz. He's brilliant player at the moment. I think he's an absolute must own. No one's essential, but he's a must own for that price, particularly with how West Ham are playing. And then you've got the Villa boys. Now, for me, Martinez is the new pope of a few years back in that season where he had the breakthrough. You've got Watkins, who's just seemed to be ticking over, and then Grealish as well, who is just a joy to watch and always involved. So there's some good assets there, and I think perhaps all five of those that I've mentioned are the types of players that everybody's considering anyway. But I'm actually thinking about maybe moving in a Grealish. I've got the other four, but perhaps Grealish might be one for me to move in at some point, maybe for someone like Rashford.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I think Villa. I wouldn't be worried too much about their assets after that one. I think it was just an off day. I think they're fine. West Ham, I mean, that was a proper performance from them. They really are a good side now.
Yeah, they really are.
Would Lingard come into contention for a cheapy option?
I think, yeah. Obviously, judging by last night, he's going to be on a lot of people's thoughts, but it's just the fact that you've got Antonio and Souček there, and I'm not sure there's room for all three in a lot of squads.
Yeah, it kind of forces you out, doesn't it, a little bit? Because, it's early days, we know that, but it's nice to get on these types of players early, and nobody will be on him at the moment. No one. People might have moved him in subsequently, but no one will be on him right now. And, of course, that is a big differential. But as you said, Daz, I mean, with Souček at 5.3 million, likely to probably go up to 5.4 before the week's out, and then Lingard at 5.9, it just feels like there's not really a place for him at the moment. Quite happy to tick along with Souček for now.
Agreed.
So keeping rattling through these games, another game obviously was Everton bouncing back from their defeat last time out against Leeds, who had a bit of a turn in fortune themselves. Yeah,
good game. I watched. I only actually managed to see sort of highlights, extended highlights, but it was pretty typical. It was a pretty typical Leeds match, one a bit of a basketball match by all accounts. DCL on the score sheet, Bamford with another return, Rafinha looking great. And actually, I probably should have watched that instead of the Liverpool game. Sounds like it was a fantastic match.
It's funny, isn't it, how FPL can dictate what you watch? I know why you watch Liverpool, because you've got Trent and Robbo. I'd have done exactly the same. If I had 3 assets in that game, I 100% would have watched it.
Yeah.
And of course, I got DCL and Dean, so I'm like, well, I don't own anyone other than Salah. Everyone owns Salah. I know what Salah can do. I'm not going to watch the game. So I literally watched the Everton Leeds game almost fully through because, of course, I had interest in playing with Leeds players anyway. Got Dallas on my bench. Just took Bamford out. But yeah, DCL and Dean. So yeah, I watched the whole game. It's funny, isn't it, how we can be dictated by who we have. From my side of things, I can't really say much more than what Daz has said, to be honest. One player that I really do like, though, that's not known. I mean, it's more that perhaps he's a little bit under the radar, more so than your Bamfords, your DCLs, your Deans, and those types of players, is Rafinha. I mean, I think he looks brilliant. Yeah. I really like the player. I think he's really coming into his own. He was really decent in the French league, to be honest, and yeah, I think he's picked things up now.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he's got a bit of Mahrez about him. Was that a fair comparison? Or?
I think so. Yeah, he's tricky. He's very direct, and he's causing trouble. He's definitely causing trouble. And he moves from position to position. Seemingly takes quite a lot of the position around the sort of right side, but I've seen him move centrally, left, everywhere. So yeah, I really like him. I think he's a brilliant player. And to be honest, with so many options, can you believe? I can't believe we're even saying this. That with so many options in the forward category, and they're all like 6 million, aren't they? Normally, in previous years, it'd be all premiums, and how do we get Kane and how do we get Aguero in and the like? But yeah, I don't know if I can get Bamford back in. So I've got Watkins, DCL and Antonio up front, and there doesn't really appear to be an easy route back into Bamford. I know I've only just taken him out, but the idea was to perhaps take him out, jump on DCL for the good run of fixtures, and then maybe bring Bamford back in on wildcard, which perhaps I'm considering around game week 25 for the bench boost in 26. So Rafinha might be my next option, which might mean that I might have to get rid of Souček, which again is awkward. But I don't know. Outside of that, I could lose one of the premiums because they're not exactly firing like a Sterling and a Rashford. I could take one of them out, but then I'd have so much money in the bank. It just doesn't look right, does it? If I take Sterling out for someone like Rafinha, but maybe it's the play and have 5-6 million in the bank. Who knows? But yeah, I really like that as an option, and I like Leeds.
Cool. So perhaps for the next minute or so, we'll talk about the City win as well at Burnley, and then we'll quickly touch on the other game. So Darren, can you talk to us about the City performance? Did you see that game?
Yep, absolutely superb performance yet again from City. They were just their typical self, really. Gundogan is becoming, well, not becoming, he's been around a long time. He is a fantastic player, and he's really starting to show that this season. Everything he does is it's absolute perfection almost. His touch, his passing. Now he's even scoring goals. Absolutely brilliant player. Sterling was a little bit unlucky by all accounts. Craigie boy. I think he could have had a few more returns there.
He's frustrating, isn't he? I mean, he must really annoy Pep, but he loves him because of the fact that he gets in those positions, right? I mean, he's getting in the positions, which actually, that's half the battle. That's skill. That's, you don't just land upon the right positions to get the shots off and, wriggle your way through to create the opportunities. But he's like his goal. I mean, Gundogan's pass was exceptional. It was KDB-esque, wasn't it? Yeah. It was on a plate. But again, people say it's on a plate and it's all Gundogan. But again, Sterling has to be in that position. If he's not there, it's a wasted cross. So yeah, he's frustrating. I'm probably going to take him out, but I might bring him back in.
I love the look of Cancelo as well. I'd love to.
Yeah.
The trouble is, where you've got Stones and Diaz, how can you go sideways to Cancelo? I'm not sure if that's the play.
That's me and you both at the moment, isn't it? We both don't own Cancelo, and we both got Stones and Diaz. Yeah. But at the moment, it's a case of, well, just shut your eyes when Cancelo's on the ball.
Yeah. I mean, you can't knock Stones and Diaz. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly, mate. They're bringing in the points.
Absolutely. So just quickly talking to the other games, if anyone's not been watching the scores, obviously Leicester had a 2-0 win away at Fulham. There was some controversy in the Wolves-Arsenal game where Wolves come out on top. Similarly, Palace came out on top against seemingly what was going to be an informed Newcastle, but it turned out not to be the case. And the battle of shits at the bottom of the table, Sheffield United managed to come out on top against West Brom. So perhaps we should turn our attention to the next game week, particularly for Daz, who I'm sure wants to bounce back to the top of our mini league table.
Yes, absolutely.
What are you looking at, Dasman, for the next game week and beyond?
Yeah, so a match I'm particularly keen to keep an eye on is the Spurs game. I've got Son, which I've kept Son through the Chelsea fixture tonight. I'm not sure how he's doing, but West Brom at home, so all eyes on that one really. And I think his performance in that game is probably going to determine whether I keep him for the next 4 matches actually, because it's Man City away in game week 24, and then following that it's West Ham, Burnley, and Palace. So if I carry him through the City game, I'm definitely keeping for the next 3 after that. So really keen to keep an eye on him for the West Brom game this week. Hopefully big returns. On paper, it looks like a great fixture for them. On top of that, I'm probably keen to look at the Everton assets. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a double game week 24 for those guys. So the Man United fixture, I mean, I'm not going to buy anyone for the Man U game away, so it's a good opportunity to watch them guys. Elsewhere, Brighton are looking great. Good fixtures ahead. So yeah, plenty to keep an eye on.
And how about you, Craig?
Well, it's probably not one for now, but the Chelsea defenders interest me with the way that Thomas Tuchel sets up. We're really fascinated to see who gets regular nods in those wing-back positions. So far forward, we saw obviously with Alonso coming in last game week and notching a goal as well. Typical Alonso style, just everywhere, and he's just erratic. He's all over the pitch. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. He's nowhere. Sometimes he's out of position, but hey, it was a surprise to see him get the nod, to be honest. But when he did, you half expected him to get something, didn't you?
Yeah.
The goal was brilliant. So
yeah,
I'd love to have him back in my team. Bit of a nostalgia pick more than anything, but fantastic value.
Them Antonio Conte days.
Yeah, exactly that. When he was kind of bagging 8 to 10 involvements in goals a season and picking up some fantastic clean sheet levels as well. So yeah, that interests me. I want to see how that plays out. And from my side of things, I think personally, I've got a bit of a decision to make around Son. Who do I take out, basically? I'm going to bring him in just to kind of shield pick it. Yeah, I'm going to bring him in. And you know my team, Daz. It's pretty difficult to see who to bring him in for. But again, I think the easy move for me with 2 transfers is Sterling out away at Liverpool. I think it's straightforward. I don't really... I mean, it was going to be Rashford. Luckily, Son dropped it. I talked to you boys on the pod last week saying that I was priced out at the 0.2 in the bank. I had nothing to do with it. I was just going to move the cross. Rashford dropped from 9.6 to 9.5. All of a sudden, I got 9.7 to play with, and Son's at 9.8 out of bloody nowhere. But and again, out of nowhere, Son dropped again last night or the night before. So I'm back in the game. I could do Rashford to Son, but with Rashi playing at home to Everton and Man United looking like they look, and I know they're up and down. It's a no-brainer to keep him in. And then he's got West Brom next, so I can't take Rashford out.
No way.
It was my easy move, but I can't do it. If Rashford blanked, maybe I would have considered it, and the game was a bit closer. But it's a no way in it. So Sterling for me, probably to Son. Almost certainly, really. Not probably. Leave a little bit of doubt in there for the mini league rivals. Almost certainly going to do it. Probably captain him as well. Bamford is gone. And as I referred to already, keeping an eye on Rafinha, to be honest. I really like him as an option.
Yeah.
Just don't really see a way to that at the moment. My midfield is pretty saturated. I don't know what to do. I'm benching Souček most weeks, and I want to play him this week. So I'm actually quite happy that I've got the Everton boys, because they could score points. And just on this note, I think a lot of people within the FPL world get a bit bent out of shape over bench points, but we're in that world right now. You have to have a bench. Just don't get caught up over it. I'm going to put on I'm going to put DCL and Dean on the bench, most likely. I'm not 100%. I might play Dean over one of the City boys, but I think that's probably a 30% chance. I'm probably going to back myself with the City lads and just think I think they're going to roll over Liverpool, to be honest. So then Dean and DCL go on the bench. They're great options. They get points. They're both attacking, obviously. Even with Dean, he goes forward and does a bit. But I just feel like they're not going to. And if they get points, they get points. But I kind of feel like Souček away at Fulham is probably the better player there, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of my transfer, I'm very likely to bring in Luke Shaw. I think he's looking great. Most chances created and most big chances created amongst defenders in the last 6. So I like the look of him. Good fixtures, and as I touched on earlier, Trent. I think I'm going to shift the funds, move to Shaw, and maybe move upgrade a forward or midfielder.
That's interesting, Daz. It's quite I wouldn't say knee jerk, because obviously Liverpool haven't looked good, but you're not one to normally bring someone in and take them out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good point, but yeah, I'm reacting to what I'm seeing, and I'm not just not comfortable with that double up right now.
No, I agree. It's too much to rely upon. It's not even the money, is it? Because there's money to be played with at the moment. It's more that they just don't look convincing at all, do they? Need to see like good 3 fixtures with them.
Brilliant. So let's move on now to some of the questions from the FPL community that have asked us on our Twitter handle at First45Pod. Thanks as ever to those who have fired in some questions. Question 1. There's a few questions around this from Stephen, Ben Graham and FPL Dan. They've asked similar questions around Brighton and their defenders. Would you consider assets in defence? The good fixtures coming up? If so, who? Perhaps Craig, you want to start us off with that one?
Yeah, I think I would if I needed to make moves back there. And personally speaking, which is why it's quite interesting hearing Daz say that he'll move Trent to Shaw. I don't particularly like moving the defence around too much. I'll do it for cash cow if I have to, like I did obviously with Robertson to Dean, but I did it because I needed to. In my mind, I wanted to get DCL, so I've freed up some money there. So I guess it all is circumstantial. If you do need to free up some funds, then potentially there are options. But I guess, again, as Daz just referred to, with the likes of Shaw being at 4.9 million, would you want to go and spend a similar amount of money on a Brighton defender right now? Probably not. I'd want to see a little bit more. They do look very good at the back, and they have a fantastic run of fixtures with Burnley away, Villa at home, Palace at home, and West Brom away. That's fantastic. I could see, at least 2 clean sheets there, potentially 3, but United have good fixtures as well. Everton at home, West Brom away, and then potentially I think it's Newcastle at home after that. So again, you could see a couple of clean sheets there and potentially attack and return. So for me, I'd say, all honesty, I'd probably move to someone like Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka.
I think there is value there, actually. I think they are looking very good defensively, and kind of as you say, if you are going to go there, the value is probably in the likes of Webster and White at 4.4, as opposed to maybe if you were to stretch to a Dunk, then there are other options elsewhere where you're probably more likely to go.
If you really need to save the money, you're absolutely right. If you want to save 0.3, 0.4, then yeah, there's no one probably better than someone like a Webster at 4.4 at the moment.
Great, and moving on to the second question, which is from a regular asker, FPL Flagged, so thanks for getting in touch. They've asked, Souček too good to be benched now, ? Daz, what do you think?
Well, bench him if you dare, really, isn't it? I don't know, it's a tough one. I mean, looking at my squad last week, as you know, I had him on my bench, and if that game week was to be replayed, I'd probably bench him again, looking at the fixtures and players there. So I think you just need to base it on a week to week basis, really. I think the bigger thing really is probably don't be afraid to play him in. Say if you've got a squad where you don't particularly like your 11, you're looking at making a hit. If West Ham are playing maybe a Spurs, Arsenal, United, I really wouldn't. It wouldn't faze me playing him in any of those fixtures. I think you can field him, and he can pop up with a return in almost any game.
I agree with that. I think he's fixture proof in that sense.
Yeah, he's very unpredictable. Yeah,
exactly. He doesn't get points by relying on, good build-up play, weak defence, anything like that. It's more that he can cause damage in the box, and he can do that against anybody. Outside of players like a VVD, who we know obviously isn't playing at the moment, there's not too many defenders that would feel comfortable marking him. So I would say it's circumstantial as well, just to support what Daz said. One of those where take it as it comes.
And last question for now is from FPL Thornbury, who has asked, swap Sterling for Son ahead of a fixture difficulty change, and is Son a must-have against West Brom in the next game week? So you've touched upon that a little bit already, Craig. Perhaps you just want to re-articulate your thinking there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm most likely to move there, so I would say yes, that's a yes for me. Again, if you've got nobody else that you can move across and move Sterling out, because Sterling potentially has, or almost certainly has, a double game week in the game week afterwards. So if I move Sterling out, I'm likely to move him back in. But I've got the transfers. Maybe I'll wildcard the week after that, so I'm not too fussed about the transfers in all due respect. So I would say absolutely, it's a good move.
Do you know what? You probably think I'm trying to get in your head here because we're in the same mini league, but I wouldn't make that move. I wouldn't be moving Sterling to Son right now. I mean, obviously I own Son rather, and I'm not going to sell him before West Brom, but after seeing them against Brighton and the way they're looking without Kane, I don't think I'd make that move. I think Sterling against Liverpool, the way Liverpool are looking now, I think he could hurt them. And if you look ahead to next week, Man City against Spurs, I'd much rather be sat there with Sterling in my team than Son for that fixture. So
Look at you, no. you the little like devil on my shoulder. Just like, look at you rubbing your hands. So it's one of those, isn't it? Getting in my head now. I like it. It's all mind games. You're still some good 70, 80 points ahead of me, Daz. You don't need to do all the dirty tactics just yet, mate. But I'm creeping. I'm coming, mate. I'm coming. You're having just a fantastic season. But look,
that's my take on it anyway.
Well, I probably will do it anyway because I just fancy, look, it's fixture. It's a fixture play. I've got the transfer to moving back to Sterling the week after anyway, and some money in the bank. So all I'm saying here is do I fancy Son at home to West Brom or Sterling away to Liverpool? Now, I expect a response from Liverpool. I don't think that's going to be a high-scoring game. If we're lucky, I think there'll be one goal in it. I actually think only a couple of goals will be scored, personally. I think it'll be quite a defensive game, hence probably why I'm backing the City defenders. And I think that Spurs can put 3 or 4 past West Brom. So, again, I don't think you'll talk me out of that one. I'm almost certainly going to do it, and he is a strong captaincy option for me. And I'll just move back to Sterling for the double game week, mate. Thank you very much.
Good luck to you, mate. Good luck.
With my my 2 free transfers. A lovely jubbly.
Oh dear. Knowing how this pod's been so far, every week we've got something massively wrong. So I'm looking forward to playing that one back next week.
Sterling getting a 15-pointer and Sonny getting sent off again.
Oh dear. So let's move on now, guys, to the 4-a-side, which is your charity competition. You've both decided to get your wallets out, dust off the cobwebs and the like, and one of you is going to be stumping up £100 for whoever loses in your 4 picks across the season from now until the end of the season. And you're also going to be taking on a member of the FPL community every week, and their points will also be counted against you and Craig, Darren. So if you both lose out to the community as well, you're going to be stumping up an extra £50 each if I've got it right. So I hope you've got those readies in your wallets ready to pay out.
Yep.
So perhaps you want to take us through the current standings as to where we are, Dazzler, and then Craig can talk us through who you're up against this week.
Yep, no problem. So the table's actually looking reasonably tight. We had Pranil on last week, aka Late Riser, who contributed 31 points for the community, and the current standings are Craig in the lead with 61 points. I'm on 51, and then the community closely behind on 50 points. So 11 points in it between Craig and the community.
You must be pretty happy, Craig, that you've beaten Late Riser 12 there after the bitter words and the feud.
Oh God, he gave me a few, didn't he? He gave me a few jibbins, didn't he? But I take it like a man. Don't worry about that. I'll let the team do the talking. I'm a good million or so above him in the real game at the moment as well. So
oh wow,
let's see how he gets on come the end of the season. No, all jokes aside, it was good to obviously beat Late Riser. He's a fantastic manager and he's had some good ranks. So yeah, no, we're doing all right, Daz. We're holding our heads up high here, beating the community at the moment. What with the General and Late Riser being on, some good pedigree there. So we're doing all right, mate.
Yeah, off to not a bad start.
And on that, our guest this week is our first female representative, Isha Acton, at Isha_Acton_ on Twitter if you want to follow her. And here she is with her picks.
Hey everyone, it's me, Isha Acton. I'm a sports presenter and I'm a football coach as well. I'd say that I'm more of an FPL enthusiast rather than an expert. This week I'm really pleased to be taking on Craig and Darren for Game Week 23 in the charity 4-a-side competition, and I'll be representing the community. An interesting fact about myself, well, I'm a former gymnast and a former championship Irish dancer as well. Okay, let's move on to my picks for this game week. As for my goalkeeper, I do want to go for Martinez because quite frankly, he is a bonus points king. However, I'm just not too sure I fancy him against Arsenal, especially after his errors in that West Ham game. So I'm going to be going for Man City's Edison. Now, I know City are up against Liverpool, but given that their home league record has now collapsed from unbeaten in almost 4 years to back-to-back defeats, I just think that they might struggle to get past the likes of Diaz or Stones or Cancelo, whoever makes the cut on Pep Roulette this game week. City have just been so defensively formidable in recent weeks, 13 clean sheets, and they might just get another one even against the defending champions. Next up, my defender of choice will be Luke Shaw. You just can't look past his form. The sheer number of chances he's created as a defender is outstanding, and he's an absolute bargain as well. As for my midfield, I'm going to be opting for James Maddison. Now, I was looking at his stats over the past 12 games, 6 goals, 6 assists, and I'm expecting big things from him against Wolves this weekend. My striker, it has to be Mikel Antonio. The Hammers are on fire. They're taking on Fulham. Antonio has ridiculously good underlying numbers. It is a no-brainer for me. The total of my picks come to £24.9 million. As the first female representative on the podcast, I would absolutely love to make my mark and win with this team, but we will see. Thank you so much for listening to my picks, and thank you very much for having me on, guys. See ya!
Ooh, Edison. Interesting pick that, but
That's a massive
see
shout.
sense in it. Yeah, I can see sense in it though. Like I said, looking to back my City boys this week, so yeah, understandable. And Luke Shaw as well, one of your potential transfers in, Daz.
Yep, definitely a player I'm looking at, so that bodes well.
Who have you gone for then for the four-a-side comp this week? You got a bit of ground to make up on me, Nip.
Here we go. So I've gone for Areola. Maybe a bit of a surprise pick. He's more of an enabler actually, because I've taken a little bit of a different approach this week.
Sorry, did you say Areola
Yeah.
at home to West Ham?
Yeah.
Enabler pick. Sounds like a lunacy pick if you ask me.
Wow.
He's done. He's got his head down. This is fighting talk.
So yeah,
Who else you got then?
I'm perhaps hoping for save points more than anything there, but yeah, swiftly moving on.
No clean sheet there.
Swiftly moving on. Okay, let's see. I've gone for Rudiger. 4.5. Seemingly he's got that centre-back spot now down with Thomas Tuchel. So
Yeah, I like that.
Sheffield United away, good chance for a clean sheet. And this is where the old enabler pick comes into play, because I've gone all guns blazing in midfield with Son. 9.7. It's definitely
a budget.
Yeah, it's a kind of an on-paper pick really, because as I said earlier, I'm not convinced on Spurs right now, but home to West Brom, I'm hoping for some big returns perhaps. So
Not convinced by Spurs right now. I've picked the Sun. Don't go for him though, Craig. Trying to get in my head. I'm not having it. He's gone for Sonny in his four-a-side picks.
Sounds like it's working though.
Yeah, absolutely. You've basically pulled up trees to put Sun in there. You put Areola in the sticks. and your striker?
Up top, I've gone for Watkins. Fourth best XG this season amongst forwards, and second best amongst forwards in the last 4 game weeks. So now that he's got shooting boots on, rather, 3 goals in the last 4 matches, I'll take a punt with Watkins. Good player. And I'm bang on the money there at 25.0.
Wow. Nice one, mate. We'll see how that pans out. So for me, goalkeeper, I've gone for Lloris. As per the Fantasy Football Fix algo, Spurs are 50% or have a 50% chance of a clean sheet. So I'm going for that, the best of the lot. Then I've gone for Shaw at the back. He's come up a few times tonight, and he's managed 8 attempted assists in his last 2 games, and he didn't actually even play the 480 minutes, 135 minutes played. The man is getting forward. He's thriving at the moment. He's getting all the plaudits. Yeah, I mean, he just looks like a decent fullback right now, and Man United are looking like a good outfit. So hopefully I can get something out of him at home to Everton. And then you've got Rafinha as well. I've talked about him a lot. He's kind of my option, maybe outside of Bamford anyway for my own team. So I've kind of backed myself here. He's dropped in price, 5.3. Allows me to distribute my cash around before side quite nicely. So yeah, Rafinha at home to Crystal Palace, 4 shots on target. and 5 attempted assists in his last 3. So he's really getting involved with everything that Leeds are doing going forward. And then finally, my forward is big man Mikel Antonio, 6.6 mil, 17 shots in his last 5 starts. He is thundering it at the goal. He's loving life. 22.4 million for me, and I'm going to take the week down again.
Nice
more
picks,
daylight
mate.
between
Nice
me
picks.
and Dazza. Cheers, mate.
Wow. You know you don't get to keep that money for the next
He
week.
says that gritted teeth.
I'm pleased for you, mate. I'm pleased for you. It's been a while since you've managed to get the better of me, so...
Early days, mate. Early days. We've got plenty of more game weeks to play. Yeah, I'm not getting ahead of myself.
Cool. Well, I think, unless there's any closing thoughts from you guys that you want to talk about for this week's pod.
No thanks, mate. I want to go and get another beer. See how the old Spurs are getting on. See how Sonny's getting on.
Well, they're 1-0 down, mate, so
Yeah, I saw
don't
that.
get too carried
Are
away.
they? Wow.
Yeah, 1-0
Jorginho.
down. Vern has done something. Woo! Little assist.
He ain't scored, has he?
Do you know
Or
what?
Assist.
No assist, but I was actually, do you know what? He was one that I was considering away at Sheffield United for the old 4-a-side, but trying to do a bit of your play there. I saw your Sonny, and I thought to myself, maybe I'll go heavy up top, but no, it would have been a gambly, punty one. But I think Werner will come good at some point. Anyway, we digress. Lovely to talk with you both. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you,
Hope
mate.
everyone has a fantastic game week 23.
Yep.
The double game week 24 is looming, guys. Don't forget it. Man City likely to have 2 fixtures. One
Confirmed
of
now,
those could
mate.
be with. It's confirmed. There we
Fixtures
go.
have been confirmed this afternoon.
Wow.
There we go. And Everton, the other one are they, Joe?
Yeah, another one confirmed, yep.
So Everton and City double game week 24.
Yeah, they're playing each other, aren't they, if I remember rightly?
Yes, they are. There we go. There's your double game week players. I've already got 5 of them. Happy days.
Good luck,
Back to
guys.
the drawing board for you boys. See you later on, everyone. Have a good game week.
See you later.
See you guys.